Guernsey. Representative Guernsey, please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Casey Guernsey. I represent the 2nd District in Northwest Missouri, all of 4 counties, Harrison County, where I live in Bethany, Davies County, Gentry, and DeKalb County. And I have for your you today consideration some legislation I've sponsored in the past. This is the second time that I've offered the language for consideration. And I really brought it, anybody who represents a rural district understands the dilemma that we're in. But I would say probably all over the state they can identify the issues relating to prevailing wage that we have to deal with on a number of levels. But in my home county, in Harrison County, this is the, I believe they have attempted in the last couple of years 3 times to build a new school in South Harrison. And South Harrison is one of 19 school districts that I represent. In my old district, I represented 26 school districts. And I can say without hesitation, having deliberately met with every school district on this topic since I've been elected, that this is probably one of the biggest issues facing them. In my lifetime of those school districts, there has only been 1 school built. And I don't know if there is a school district in my district or my old district that could say that they don't have serious structural issues with their buildings that they have, or serious repairs that need to be made that they flat out cannot afford to do, and they will not have an ability to afford to do it. So back to South Harrison, they have tried 3 times to build this new school. They have not been able to get the voters to approve by less than 1% sometimes. So we sometimes meet the majority requirement, but not the supermajority percentage that's required at times whenever it's at the ballot. There needs to be some changes made to our policy as it relates to prevailing wage to simply allow some of these school districts in these rural areas, like I represent, to have the ability to make the necessary repairs to their buildings or to build the new schools that needs to be built. I'm not asking for what I view drastic changes to prevailing wage policies all across the state. I'm just asking for the General Assembly to consider some meaningful, deliberate changes that would allow some of these school districts like mine to do what they need to do. And I wish I had some pictures that I could pass around, or you could see some of the school districts' buildings that they have to deal with. It should be concerning to anyone to see how old some of these structures are, how far in disrepair some of them are, and just how desperately these school boards and administrators want to fix these problems. But considering all things as it relates to their finances in the district, it's only becoming increasingly difficult. So that's why I have been working on this issue, and that's why I brought it to you all for your consideration. I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Any committee members have questions for the sponsor? Representative May?
Clarification. So on your bill, I just want to get an understanding. Your bill is saying that you're allowing school districts to exempt themselves and be able to charge wages or get wages that are lower than what the prevailing wage is in that county or the district. Is that accurate?
More in line with what the counties can afford, especially in the rural areas.
Well, what about what's already on, what the Department of Labor has already established what the prevailing wage is for most counties and rural areas around the state? So we're saying we want to be less than what they've already allocated. What they've already said is the prevailing wage for that area. So we're saying the counties can't afford what's already been determined as the prevailing wage for that area.
if they could afford it, we would have had certainly more school districts build new facilities or repair the facilities that they've gotten, or add on to the facilities that they currently have.
Okay, is there, I don't know, I mean, you may not know the answer to this question, but is there, how do we know, how did the Department of Labor come up with those numbers then? What was, I'm just interested in what was the consideration for those numbers, for those various counties?
I am definitely not an expert on.
Okay, maybe somebody else in the room.
I would imagine that there's probably somebody
right,
who can answer that question better than me.
Okay.
I can't proclaim to be an expert on how all prevailing wage numbers are, or even exactly how all of these districts are divided up.
Okay.
I would say someone could probably better answer that question.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I meant to say permission to inquire. Sorry.
Permission to inquire.
Go ahead.
Representative Guernsey, they've tried 3 times. Have they given you any rough numbers on the cost savings or what they feel they'd be able to save with your bill? Or percentages? I mean, I realize, they haven't gotten it done, so
they've modified, every time they brought it back to the voters, they've modified their plan, either scaled it back or changed financing options. I believe in one plan, my brother's on the board for South Harrison, so we talk about it at dinner every Sunday, and that's pretty much all we talk about at dinner every Sunday. And I want to say if they could, if we could affect the labor policies as it relates to prevailing wage positively for a rural community, they could save in the double-digit percentile in their costs to construct.
thank you.
So very significant. It would, if we could make this one policy change just for schools, I don't think that there's districts who would even need to go back to the voters to finance the reconstruction or construction of school buildings.
Thank you.